Is fear a huge problem today? In my previous talk, I discussed on the topic of problems and the way to deal with our problems. In this video, I would like to focus on fear, a common problem shared by humanity all over the world, although we differ in its intensity. It's a well-known fact that we humans are fearful beings and we often allow our life to be driven by fear. Fear seems to play a big role in the choices and decisions we make in our life, to such an extent that some people are anxious and afraid all the time, although we know that often our fears are imaginary. The only blessed people seem to be the little children who live life freely except for the fear of falling down and the fear of loud noise. But in the process of their growth and development, the adults manage to instill in them all kinds of fears. That could be the reason why more than ever the modern man seems to be a victim of fear, insecurity and suspicion all the time. Today people suffer from all kinds of fears, such as fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good, fear of losing relationships, fear of losing power, fear of death, etc. Either we fear something within us or we fear something around us, something in ourselves or something in others. So much so, even the very choices we make every day are often driven by fear. So the question is, why are so many people so terribly afraid? Why it is so hard today to find people who are in control of their life? Sadly, the outbreak of COVID-19 has further worsened our situation, giving rise to all kinds of fears and anxieties as we are confined to our homes during the last 6 months. Fear is the opposite of love. Life can be approached either from the place of love or from the place of fear. When we approach a particular situation from love, we are calm and peaceful and we create an environment of love and joy around us. But when we approach a situation from fear, we are bitter, angry and anxious and go in the self-protect mode. Why? Because we fear we are not good enough and safe enough. Take a good look at your family or your community and ask yourself, are the members of your family or community operating from love or from fear? If they are operating from fear, it is a sign that there is someone trying to dominate and control, instilling fear in the minds of the members. Such a family or community cannot be called a healthy family. What does fear indicate? When you are afraid, you are disowning your inner power and allowing someone or something from outside to have power over you. That is to say, fear comes from the ego. Fear never comes from the true self. The ego is the part of you that thinks it has separate existence and it has its own thoughts and attitudes. Ego's favorite tool is fear. Ego tells things as if it is giving you good advice, but what it does is it instills a fear in you. Fear never ever tells you the truth. The more you listen to it, the more you give power over you and you believe its lies. For example, the ego tells you in order to be safe, you need to either please God or please people and you will be stronger. But the truth is that it makes you weaker. This is how ego behaves. When the ego creates a fear, it tells you that you don't have enough control over your life. You are vulnerable and therefore you need to control more so that you are normal. When you begin to exercise more control, you are making the ego stronger. So what is the truth? What can make you normal? The best way to deal with the fear is let go. Only letting go can make you come out from this psycho-spiritual problem and make you normal. When you let go, you are at peace and happy because you begin to trust your own inner power. You begin to trust your true self. What you are letting go is your desire to control and manipulate the situation. So next time when your ego tells you things are out of control and you are not safe, challenge your thinking because it is telling you you are weak and vulnerable and therefore try to control the situation. In such situations, instead of controlling, let go. Letting go means letting go of the compulsion to control things and situations around you. Instead, give the control of your life to God, because He knows what is happening in your life and He has thorough knowledge of you. Read Psalm 139. Jesus was never afraid because He knew who He was and He had absolute trust in His Father. He never allowed anyone or anything to control His life from outside. His adversaries, the Pharisees and the scribes, tried their level best to control His life, but He never allowed them to have power over Him. Whenever questions were posed to Him from fear and insecurity, He refused to answer them. He exposed them as coming from the house of fear. He understood that these questions were coming from the people who have concern for prestige, influence, power, and control. Nevertheless, Jesus very well understood the fears and the anxieties of the common people, and He reassured them in these words. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Matthew chapter 7, verses 25 to 27. In other words, Jesus invited the fearful people to shift their focus from the problem to God, their Father. Therefore, fear is not only a psychological problem, it's a spiritual problem too. When we allow fear to dominate our life, we are in a way dethroning God and enthroning the person or the thing that generates fear in us. We don't trust God enough to believe that He is in control of the situation. In the Bible, God has been constantly reassuring us with His presence. In Jeremiah chapter 1:19, God tells Jeremiah, they will fight against you, but they will not overcome you. For I am with you, I will rescue you. So the Bible teaches us that the best way to conquer fear is through love, because love is stronger than fear, and love comes from God. Listen in what St. John is saying in his first letter, chapter 4, verse 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. So the big challenge, therefore, is to move from the house of fear to the house of love, to trust in our inner power and let go of the desire to control the force outside us. When you begin to trust in yourself, you are free to live your life.